How's it going, guys? So, I've noticed that a couple of y'all have issues understanding why the scripts do what they do. So I'm going to go ahead and create a simple ball example, and I'm actually going to combine Mad Gamers and Mr. Pringle's issues together, I guess you would say. And so I'm going to cover a few things in this. So all I did was basically create a plane and a sphere. Make sure that there is a collider attached to it. You don't have to have a rigid body unless you're going to be accessing that rigid body, which in this case I will not. I don't need to worry about physics or gravity or anything like that. I've created a simple C# script down here called ball example. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And I'll just wait for Visual Studio to load. And sometime today, Scooter is preparing solution. I think the solution has been prepared. Okay, anyways, enough messing around. So I'm actually going to delete all of these. I'll probably have to create an update later on, but right now I'm just more worried about as far as like what we're wanting to do. So to get a ball to roll 10 feet, Unity usually doesn't use standard systems like that. It actually uses metrics. So if we go in here and look at the transform of this component, we have position, and if I were to grab this and move it in the z-axis, so if I'm going to set this at say -1, if I were to move this to 0, that's the equivalent of moving it about 1 meter. So Unity, it actually doesn't really register meters or anything like that. It actually just registers units, but everything's converted into metric. And so to say that something's going to roll 10 feet, you're going to want to say approximately 3.3 meters. So that's something that you're going to want to keep in mind. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a method group. I'm just going to call this, because I can type, public void roll ball. And so let me be more proper about this. There we go. So we want it to transform in the z-axis. But I'm going to create an update real quick. Public void update. So trying to think how to explain this. We're going to want a transform.translate, and we're going to have it 0, 0, and this is where we're going to actually move it. So what we want to do is let's go ahead and create a variable up here, public float speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take speed and put it in here. Now, just because we have speed in here, I'm going to show you what happens. In fact, I'm going to create an if statement. If input.getKey, nope, I want getKey down. Let's just say keycode is, keycode.e. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not doing these swirly brackets, if you only have one line below it, it'll automatically take this one line and attach it to this if statement. If you have multiple lines, then you will have to have the swirly brackets. But for one line, we don't really have to worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then the next thing I need to do, once this is done down here, I'll need to take this and drag this onto my game object. I'm going to set the speed to, say, 3. So if I hit play, watch what happens. It's just there. I press E. It jumps. So it's doing what we're asking it to do, but we want a smooth roll. So what we're going to need to do is multiply speed by time.delta time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. And now we're going to get something different. Now this won't make it jump like it did before. As you can see, it's not even moving at all. Oh wait, there we go. So it's moving, but it's not really what you would expect. And the reason for this is because of the fact that whenever you have get key down, it only registers the input one time. So if you've ever seen one of those indie games where someone tries to type their name and multiple of the same letters are popping up, that is why. However, if I change this from get key down to just get key and hit play, you'll see that now the ball actually rolls smoothly, as you can see right there. And you can change these values too. So if I were to change this to a 1 real quick and then come back in here to the game, inside the game screen, so it does change. So to get a ball to move 10 feet and stop, how would we go about doing that? Well, we can actually create a bool. I'm going to call this a private bool, and this is going to be called stop. So, real quickly, you have public and private and static. The difference between public and private is basically, think of it as a toilet. This is actually the example I gave to, I believe it was Mad Gamer and Combat 99Z, if I remember correctly. But basically, if they were toilets, a public toilet would be something like a Walmart toilet. Anybody can use it. It's open to the public. However, if it's a private, that means it's like kind of like your toilet in your house. You're not just going to let some random guy come in to use your bathroom. Or at least I hope not. But, so whenever you have public, that means any script can basically communicate with that script. It can change your values. It can access different method groups. It's like right here I have public void roll ball. If this was just void roll ball or private void roll ball, then no other scripts could actually communicate with this. So right here I'm going to say and stop. And by me putting this exclamation mark, that means if stop equals false. So on start, instantly this will automatically equals false. So actually is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to change this up. I'm going to hold down Control and press C. And I'm actually going to type that in. And I will do these swirly brackets. I don't need to, but I am just to keep it all separate. Stop equals true. Now, one other way you can do this... Oh, wait, let me add the word down, because... There we go. One other way you could do this is you could say... Like, let's say you're going to call the roll ball... Stop equals true. You can actually come here and say roll ball. Add your parentheses, because we are actually calling a method group, and then add your semicolon. And then right here, we will need this. So, is what we could do is we can actually do this many different ways. I'm going to introduce y'all to what's called a coroutine. So, a coroutine, let me go ahead and just type in start coroutine. I'm going to call this stop ball. And so right here we have a enumerator, and we're going to call it stop ball. Yield, return new, wait 4 seconds. And let's just say we wait for, I don't know, 3 seconds. And you can make this a float. So if you need something that's really precise, you can put 0.03. Just make sure you add the letter F afterwards. And after that, we'll say stop equals false. Or actually, I'm already screwing up, aren't I? I wonder how many of y'all are like, yeah, come on, Jimmy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. True. There we go. So if stop equals false, it's going to move this ball, whatever speed value we set to it, multiplied by time.time. It has to be multiplied. So this takes the time value of what it is inside basically the engine, and it says, okay, so your speed is continuously, it's not that it's continuously increasing, so it won't take like 1 minute and multiply that by whatever speed you have. It'll actually give you a smooth value for your speed. So if I go ahead and save this and hit play, you'll see as soon as I hit the E key, this will actually move. There we go. So it moved right there for me. If I press E again, you'll see it goes, and then it stops. So the reason why it all of a sudden started, because I say if stop equals false. So if I want to make sure it doesn't move, I can either change that variable, it's saying if stop equals true, or let's say you need it to start off, but you want to be like, hey, I need this bool to start off as a true statement. You could simply come up here and add that. Another option you have is create actually I'm just going to create a private void start, and we'll say stop equals true. And I'm going to go ahead and break this up some so this looks a little bit better. So now whenever we start, come on, and by the way, the ball's right here. As you can see, whenever we start, we don't see that ball moving anywhere until we press E on the keyboard. And then it moves for a little bit, and then it stops. So the other way you can do this is you can actually get the transform component. Let me try and think how to do that. If we do a transform dot local position, and we'll say if I can type this, there we go. So I'm trying to think of the best way that I want to set this up. I'm trying to think how I want to do this, because you can actually set it where it's like it actually calls on the local position, and I'm trying to think on how you can set it up. I'm just really tired right now, so just trying to get this tutorial. Better yet, I'm going to make that as a tutorial later on, and I'm going to explain why. Because there is one other thing I want to show y'all, and that's script calling. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this line of code. Because I know that's something that some of y'all have had trouble with, is calling other scripts. So I am going to go over that in this lesson, because that's something I can do without even thinking about it. But now as you see, if I press E, nothing happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create an empty game object. And it helps if I select it. Oh, come on. Player input. I'm going to come down here, create C# player input. I'm going to click on this game object. Whenever it finishes compiling, I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to go ahead and go in here. So I'm going to say, well, the first thing we want to do is actually, we have ball example, and we're going to want, actually we're going to want that one too, now that I think about it. So we need to call the ball example script. So I'm going to type in public ball example BE script. And you can type this however you want. So we can call it green script. We can call it whatever we want. I'm just calling it BE script because it stands for ball example script. And so it's easy to identify with what you're trying to assign it to. So we're going to have really script equals be script dot get component, and we're getting the component of the ball example. So is what I just did is I said, okay, this BE script right here will equal itself getting the component, and the component type is the ball example. So that's basically what that means. And you have to have this to be able to call on the proper script. If you don't have it, it will not work. So up here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if input dot get key down, what was that called? Oh, key code. Duh. I'm going to say E, because that's what we've been working with so far. Then is what we're going to do is we're going to have it call the thing be script dot roll ball question mark. There we go. Control S. Now for this, I am going to go ahead and go back to the coroutine. I'm going to leave that there for now, so this way whenever I do the second part, I'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, I still need to go over that with them. So what I need to do now is I need to start the coroutine. And earlier I did this in parentheses. It's a lot easier to do and a lot less headache, but the other way you can do this is like that. They're both essentially the same thing, but I think with the parentheses, it's just, I mean not parentheses, the other things, it's just easier to read. You can do either or, it does not matter, it'll still give you the same example, no, same result, that's what it is. Okay, so inside the player thing, you'll see that we have BE script, but there's nothing here. So whatever object or objects that item has attached to it, you'll take this game object and drag it on here. So now the BE script can call upon this. So if I hit play, if you remember earlier I hit the E key and nothing happened. Well, now if I hit the E key, you'll see that it actually does what we want it to do. So that's how you go about doing that. The reason why you need to make sure you call this, because if not, we see that we have this sphere which has the ball example script attached to it, but if we hit play, watch this. Oh, hey, it didn't get rid of it. I am shocked. Usually, I'm actually really shocked that it didn't get rid of it, but usually, like, if you come into an issue where it does get rid of it, that's probably going to be more than likely the scenario, is that this will just drop off and it won't even be in there. Oh, man. So, let's actually get this thing rolling. Is what I'm going to need to do now is I will need to add a rigid body. And we're going to use gravity. So I'm actually going to come in here. I'm going to bring it up so that's where we can verify everything. But is what I want to do is instead of, oh wait, here we go. Instead of actually moving this, I'm going to go ahead and public rigid body RB. If you know what I'm going to type here, give yourself a pat on the back. If you don't, that is okay. I'm going to say RB equals RB dot get component. We're getting the component type of the rigid body, like so. So what I want to do now is I'm actually going to comment this out. We're going to do RB dot add force, or actually you could also do add torque. It's completely up to you on what you choose, but we're going to say add force dot z, and we're going to say plus equals 10. I don't know. Oh, vector 3, that's why. So, okay, that my bad. Equals new vector 3. We're going to say 0, 0, and 3. And because we're calling the vector 3, that means we do not need that. You bastard. What am I missing? Oh, wait. There we go. Duh. Make sure you sleep, kids. It's not good. Okay. So now, as long as I haven't edited anything else... Oh, wait, we're going to get an all reference exception. Let me just drag this up here. And you don't have to just do it like that. You could also just simply grab the sphere. Nice thing about Unity is whatever it is you're trying to access, it'll basically get the component that you're trying to access. So that's why it doesn't just pull up something random like this script right here. Boy. Alright, so let's press E. And as you can see, it actually rolls now. But now it won't stop because it's actually using... oh, what's it called? It's not that it's adding force anymore. It's just that its mass is keeping it going. So if I change this to a 0.1, it would actually eventually come to a halt. It's getting awfully close to the edge, or at least it should come to a halt. Looks like it's slowing down some. Yeah, maybe not. I'm going to change the angular drag on it. There we go. That's better. Okay, so it's just because the angular drag was so low, I completely forgot to change that. So, let's do this again, boys and girls. Alright, let me click on F, zoom out, click on the game screen, press E. So you'll see it's rolling. So there is force that is being added, and after a certain amount of thing slows it down, a certain amount of drag, it will stop. If you want it to come to a hard stop, you can do that too. But this is just the basics. I'm not trying to do anything that's real complicated. Only downside about the script, watch what happens whenever I start pressing E multiple times. So if you're trying to get it where it's like, well, I want it to keep adding, how do you do that? You can simply just, oh crap, what's it called? You can simply assign that, where it's like it'll constantly keep adding force. I just wanted to set it up where it's something real simple, real basic, and everything in between. So I'm going to go ahead and save this scene. Is what I want y'all to do. If you're feeling up to it and you're feeling like you're going to work on your skills, create a script that's similar to this. You can use my example, but just create a simple script. Let me see what you got. Don't just copy my script, but actually create your own unique script. Like, I'm going to expect to see some of this stuff. There's no way around it. But I want to see what y'all can do. So until next time, I'll see y'all later. But if y'all have any questions, please, you can message me directly, or you can message me in this thing in Discord, the server. But yeah, so I'm going to finish up on a few things. I'm going to get my happy butt to bed. Until next time, guys.